The Big Four meat processing companies are decimating America's small farms at an alarming rate. In the past decade alone, over 100,000 small family farms have been driven out of business, crushed by the monopolistic practices of those corporate giants. These four companies control over 80% of the beef market, using their immense power to manipulate prices and impose processor-favoring contracts on farmers. As a result, small-scale producers are left with razor-thin margins, forcing many to abandon their farms and livelihoods. This ruthless consolidation is not just a financial disaster for farmers, it's a cultural and economic catastrophe for America. The extinction of small farms isn't just a crisis, it's a deliberate, profit-driven eradication of the American farming tradition. Let's talk a bit about these megacorps and what you can do to help. Tyson Foods, JBS Food, Cargill, and National Beef have come to control the industry with monopolistic practices, oppression, and corruption that makes small livestock farmers struggle to survive. The power these four companies have within the American meat market is unbelievable, as their abaters bring in over 80% of the meat market in the United States. Such a high level of dominance lets them choose prices, take from suppliers, and determine market conditions that benefit them. Previously, the small-scale producers who used to negotiate fair prices for their livestock are now at the mercy of these corporate giants who control all aspects of the production process. Their power makes it possible for them to reduce the prices paid to farmers while keeping retail prices high and maximizing their profits. In the past few decades, the number of small family farms has decreased dramatically. Since 1980, the U.S. has lost nearly 40% of its small farms, largely due to the pressure from larger agribusinesses. The decline of American farms poses a severe threat to the overall economy, far beyond the immediate impact on rural areas. When family farms vanish, they disrupt a complex economic ecosystem that extends well beyond the fields. These farms are not just food producers, they are integral to the economic fabric of their communities. The loss of these farms leads to widespread job losses, reduced consumer spending, and the collapse of local businesses that rely on farm revenue. This economic ripple effect weakens rural economies, forcing more people into unemployment and exacerbating poverty in these areas. The consolidation of agricultural land into the hands of a few large agribusinesses reduces market competition and drives up prices for consumers. So what? We can still get our food from the Big Four, but what is the quality of that food? Industrial farms, driven by economies of scale, often focus on maximizing output rather than the health of the soil or the well-being of the animals. This can result in practices such as overuse of pesticides, antibiotics, and synthetic fertilizers, which can compromise the nutritional value and safety of the food processed. The emphasis on high yields and uniformity can also lead to the cultivation of fewer crop varieties that are more susceptible to disease and blights. One bad year with monocropped systems could lead to mass famine if we all put our eggs in that basket. But back to the Big Four. Unfair pricing is not the only way meat giants like Tyson exert their power on poultry, beef, and pork farmers. The Big Four meat processing companies are increasingly sourcing meat from outside the United States, taking advantage of looser regulations in other countries to cut costs. Unlike American farmers, these international suppliers are often not subject to the same rigorous standards for animal welfare, environmental protection, and labor rights. Despite this, current legislation allows these companies to label meat as product of USA, simply because it is processed within the country, misleading consumers about the true origin of their food. The silver lining here is new laws are being proposed to close this loophole, ensuring that only meat born, raised, and slaughtered in the United States can carry the product of USA label. This change aims to protect American farmers and provide consumers with greater transparency about where their food comes from. But this really only solves the issue for people concerned about U.S.-raised meat. Is that something you have ever checked? The monopolistic system of the Big Four is not just the consequence of how today's market is, but has been created as a result of corruption over the years. They've spent millions of dollars influencing politics and making donations to allow the rules and policies that benefit them. They've also placed their people in important positions in the regulatory departments, ensuring that their influence is protected. Because of this, antitrust laws in the U.S. were created to prevent monopolies and keep the business environment free and competitive. However, the little enforcement of these laws and the multiple ways to bypass the rules have been taken advantage of, and the Big Four has grown without any problems, making it now even more powerful. Creating a market like an oligopoly with a few companies controlling the large majority of the industry reduces innovation in the industry and choices for consumers. The meat monopoly is just an example of a big problem in American business. The tech, telecom, and pharmaceutical industries also have a few companies that control their markets, leading to fewer opportunities for small businesses because of their aggressive business practices and political influence. It looks bad, but hope isn't lost, as there are ways you, yes, literally you, can fight back against this monopolistic system. We need to support small producers and businesses without a middleman cutting their microscopic profits. Small farmers receive only about 15 cents for every dollar consumers spend on food. The rest is captured by processors, distributors, and retailers, many of whom are controlled by the Big Four. If those amazing American farmers are making only 15 cents on the dollar, imagine what they could do if they were making a more reasonable margin like 30 to 40%, traditional in other businesses. This is double to triple what they make now. Maybe we wouldn't keep losing farms at an alarming rate? Maybe those farmers could work harder on the quality of their food and conditions of their livestock rather than just trying to survive day after day. Here's how you can take action right now. Buy local. Purchase meat directly from local farmers and farmers markets. By supporting local producers, you help them maintain their livelihoods and reduce dependency on major corporations. Use the Regenerative Farmers of America website map to find a farmer near you. Join a CSA. Community-supported agriculture, CSA, programs allow consumers to buy shares of a farm's harvest in advance. This provides farmers with upfront capital and assures you receive fresh, local produce and meat right from your community. Advocate for policy change. Support legislation that promotes fair competition in the meat industry. Contact your local representatives and urge them to enforce antitrust laws and support policies that benefit small farmers. Always keep an eye on the Farm Bill. This is the largest bill passed and updated to support American farming. Support cooperatives. Invest in and purchase from farmer-owned cooperatives. These cooperatives allow farmers to pool resources and market their products collectively, giving them more power in the marketplace. Educate yourself and others. Learn about the issues facing small farmers and share this information with your community. Increased awareness can lead to more support and collective action against monopolistic practices. Ask a farmer. They will gladly tell you more. Choose better brands. When shopping at grocery stores, opt for food from companies that prioritize ethical sourcing and fair treatment of farmers. Look for labels like Regenerative Organic, Certified Humane, etc. Also, check out our Regenerative Companies page linked in the description. Knowing your farmer and where your food comes from is essential for numerous compelling reasons. Buying directly from market farmers keeps money within local communities, helping to sustain rural economies and family-owned farms rather than enriching large corporations or overseas interests. According to the USDA, households typically spend around 27 to 30% of their income on food. So how much of your income are you paying to the Big Four? And what would that look like if it was given back to your immediate community? If you want to change the system, change how you buy food. By choosing to know your farmer and the origin of your food, you contribute to a more ethical, sustainable, and resilient food system.